is the importance of what you need to do in the spring to start your sprayer. And that will be here really before we know it. Another couple of months, it'll be time to spray again. So at that period of time, everybody's going to be doing 40 different things at one time. So don't wait till the day that you need to spray to go get the sprayer out from under the shed. If you got some time before that, go through the sprayer, check it out, and get it ready, and you'll have a lot better spraying season. And you want to do just the normal things that you're always going to do on anything. You want to check the engine oil. The engine oil change hours are a lot longer now. If it's time to change it, change your oil and filter, service your filters, and grease your machine. The grease just does not cost you anything compared to downtime and parts. So grease everything, and the one thing I want to remind you about on the grease that never gets greased is the drive shaft. Remember that there's a drive shaft between the engine and the hydrostat. And that drive shaft has got to move when you're going through the field and twisting and flexing on the chassis. It's got to slip. That's where your vibration is that you're looking everywhere for when that drive shaft doesn't slip. And when it comes apart, it's bad news. It tears everything up in a hole that big and breaks the shaft off the hydrostat, and then you're down for a while. There's where that little bit of grease saves a lot of time and money. Check your hydraulic oil. And what I want to remind you on the hydraulic oil is that none of the 30 series sprayers that are out today take hydraulic oil in the tank. All of them take the Torque Guard 10W30. Make sure that's what you're using and not hydraulic oil. Check your coolant, check your radiator, clean it out. A lot of dust from the winter, from the summer, and blow that out. Check your belts, your hoses, and everything. Check the air in your tires. Very important. That gets neglected about as much as the drive shaft does. And it's because the chassis was designed to run at air pressure, but also it affects your ground speed calibration. As your tires wear, the longer you use them, they get shorter. And if the air pressure is real low, it affects your steering, it affects everything on that machine. So check the air in your tires. Then we want to flush the system out real good. And if you didn't use all your winterization fluid and you still got some in the tank, drain it out in a clean barrel and set it over in the corner somewhere. Add to it next year and use it again. It'll work again next year. So put your 400 or 500 gallons of water in there, and this time when we go to manual, we're going to have all our boom switches on. We'll turn the switch on, we're going to put it in manual, and we want a high pressure. Put 80 or 90 in there, because we really want to make sure that we got a lot of pressure on all the hoses, everything, make sure that we didn't have develop any leaks over the winter. And one thing I want you to check, take an extra few minutes to check the clamps on the suction side of the pump, from the tank to the center of the pump. You know, everything is a flange fit now with a big square O-ring in the middle of it, a gasket, and then it's got that clamp that tightens them together. Well, that pump is a lot easier to suck air than it is to move product. So there's a lot of places right there that air can enter the system and your rate gets erratic. So, you know, just tighten those clamps up and check them. So then you're going to turn your spray on, you're going to put a high pressure in manual, and just sit there and let it run. Look around and make sure you don't have any leaks and you're flushing everything out and get it ready to go. We're going to, Sean is going to talk to you about tips. Tips are very important for that and the flow meter is the lifeblood of your sprayer. And you're going to see that here shortly. So after you've flushed all this out, I want you to check some places. This is very important right here. I saw this a lot of times over the years. The tip ends right here, but this keeps going right in here. So that's just a dead space right there. Well, chemical will build up and just keep packing against that plug right there. And sometimes there will be a lot of it in there. And so you're in another crop now, and you hit a bump out there somewhere, and that breaks loose, and it goes through the system, and you can see it in the field when you spray it. You can tell exactly where it came out. So take these off, flush them out, and make sure there's no buildup in there. There is a quick coupler kit available for that. You take this plug out, put a quick coupler on both ends of that tube. And so when you, have you done that?
I bought the quick coupler, but I got the plastic pipe. Those ends, silicone on, they won't come off. They gonna break something.
2 pliers.
Yeah,
That's the way I got them off. They are silicone on,
yeah.
but I didn't have any trouble taking them off. I had a pair, I used 2 pair of channel locks.
I had a channel lock and pipe for you.
They use super silicone on yours.
Yeah, it was good. It's, I was spraying, I didn't want to bust my pipe, so I'll make sure I again later. It was,
I've only done one with the plastic pipe,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't have any, they were on there tight
Yeah.
with that silicone, but I didn't break anything when I took them off.
try a sort of short section, so it
When when you went back on with the cap on the plastic pipe, did you put Teflon tape or silicone back on?
I put the silicone back on. I just put it on there and screwed it back in. Then when you do that, you're gonna have one of these at each end of each boom section. So if you let your booms out and you let them down, you can blow them out one way. Then you can put the cap back in this side and let them up, and you can blow them out this way. And that'll take care of that buildup problem. And you're also gonna see a little bit later on the R sprayer that's gonna change, that they've taken care of that problem. But I wanna remind you to look there, and also look at you got 3 strainers. You got one on the field side, and you got 2 on the pressure side. Clean those, because many times when you're helping somebody on the phone, you're gonna start at the easiest place first. Don't make a problem complicated. Look at the field strainer, never gonna give you any problem unless you're using some mighty dirty water, and that's gonna only affect you filling the tank up. These 2 strainers on the pressure side, that's what gives you your rate problem, your pressure problems. And somebody will tell you every day they've cleaned those strainers. You get out there, and they weigh 10 pounds when they come off. They're cake solid. So be sure and check those things and make sure they're clean. So then you want to do the sprayer calibration part of it. This needs to be done every spring. You're going to want to do your flow meters, and you want to do them in this order. Make sure your flow meters, if you have 2 flow meters, the one closest to the front of the machine is always flow meter number 1. The one at the back is always flow meter number 2. They might have the same numbers in them, they might not. It just depends on what the caliber is. So make sure they're in there. Then you're going to do your pressure sensor. Then you're going to do your pump. There's the tag on the flow meter. There's the pressure sensor. And you're going to do every bit of this from your main spray page. You're going to go into the arrow that points to Cal. It'll say Cal on the bottom of it. And you'll go to the pressure sensor, and it'll tell you to make sure there's no pressure on there. And what you're doing is telling that pressure sensor right here, this is 0 PSI. So unplug it, unscrew the pressure sensor, plug it back up, lay it out there in the open air, then go back and do your calibration. You don't want any pressure. If you've got 5 pounds of pressure pushing against it, and you calibrate it and you say this is 0, your pressure is gonna be off, because you now told it that 5 pounds of pressure is 0. Also look up in the inside of this pressure sensor, make sure there's no chemical built up in there. Don't stick anything in there to clean that up. Don't, a piece of wire or stick or something, because if you ever scratch the bottom of that little transducer, you can throw it away and put another one on. Just use some water, rinse it out, and get rid of whatever's built up in there. Do that under cal, then you're gonna do the pump calibration. The only thing on the pump calibration, it's just gonna tell you to make sure the pump is off, and it's gonna tell you step by step when it's gonna tell you to hit enter, and the machine is just gonna start running, and the pump's, you have to have water in the tank already. The pump's gonna start running, and it'll just shut off. When it gets through calibrating, it'll shut off. The only thing I wanna tell you about the pump calibration is don't go out there like right now, crank it up and do a pump calibration. Let the pump run for a while and let it, the oil in the pump get warm, then do your pump calibration. The last thing you want to calibrate on this thing is, on your sprayer, is your ground speed calibration. The more time that you take and do an accurate ground speed calibration, the more accurate your acre count is going to be. And every sprayer is going to have a wheel speed sensor, but you might also have a radar. It just depends on how you ordered the machine. If you have a radar, you need to unplug the radar first, calibrate the wheel sensor, then plug the radar back up and calibrate the radar. It's going to revert to the radar as long as it works. That's why you need to unplug it when you calibrate your wheel sensor. That'll mark you off 400 feet and find you a place on your machine that you can start and stop at the same place on that machine. And you get that number accurate, your acre count will be accurate.
Do you need to do that with GPS?
No. I mean, I would still do my wheel speed sensor. I would still calibrate it. If you lost GPS or something up there happened and you couldn't get it, you could just go to wheel speed sensor and it would already be calibrated and you wouldn't have to stop and do that.